Okay, hi everybody, and thanks for joining our second in our series of the VOS trainings for adult education. Just to let you know, we're going to kind of go over the ground rules again, hit the ground running. So remember, your phones and your computers are automatically muted when you enter. When you're not talking, try to keep those muted so that we can eliminate the background noise, but please unmute yourself and ask questions at any time. And Donna and I will monitor the chat, or Donna will. This walkthrough is specific to AAE enrollment and creating a service only. So if you have questions related to those two sections, we'll go through those ones. If you have questions related to the other sections, we have the rest of the series coming up later, or you can go back and view the recordings because we now have them all online on our professional development page. If you have not seen that, please view that one. Also, here's the recordings as they come up. Managing an individual, creating an individual, and assisting an individual is already done, and it's recorded and on the site. And then we'll come up on case management next week, and then class registration and attendance and transferring students. Those are the next two on deck. So let's get started. I'm going to stop this share, see if there's any questions so far. None at all. Okay, I'm going to start my VOS. So just like we learned last week, this is the VOS system. I'm still in the training system, so I can do a bit more than what I'm able to in the regular system. But, and I've already started, I'm gonna go back to my, I'm gonna go backwards. I was gonna start here, but let's just go back to the dashboard. So when you sign in, you see your dashboard. This is what you get to. We talked about how to search for people in Monday's session. As you can see, I already have Carol as my individual that I've assisted in the past. So I'm going to just click on her, and it's going to take me right to her profile. We have the My Individual profiles. That's anything to do with her account. And if you click on that, that's her personal profile. That's everything we filled out on Monday with her search history that she's done, self assessments that she's completed, and communication that she's done, including the individual program. So this is employment, training, benefits, financial. This is to the individual. So when it says my individual stuff, that's all the individual's profile information. And this is ours right here, is this staff profile information. This second plus sign, if you click on that and go to programs, that's where we live. That's where the adult education application is going to be. And for most of you, you will not have to hide any of the other ones, but for some of you, you guys assist or you're on 2 or more programs. So you might want to filter it. And in order to filter it, or you might see more than just adult ed. And so I would highly suggest filtering it if you see more than just one. Like right now in the training environment, I can see everything, not just adult education, but by clicking right here and filtering it down to Title II, I only get adult ed. Most of you won't have to worry about that because you're only on adult education, so you should only see adult education, but some of you are on 2 grants. So you might see 2 and you might want to filter those. So when I go to adult education, there is no application or older application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click to create, and I'm going to walk through the adult ed application. So that's where we're really going to start, and we're going to talk about adult education, the application process, and where we begin with that. So like we talked about on Monday, the training environment is a little bit slower than our actual Alaska Jobs FOSS system. So it's going to take a second to come up. So give it just a second. There we go. So the first thing you're going to see is you have to put the case, you have to create this enrollment, and you have to make sure that the application date and eligibility date match. I'm going to back this up a bit and pretend that it happened 2 months ago so that we can see when we get into putting in assessments and putting in other things um, that we can have some room to play with this. So I'm going to go for 8:30. So this application and eligibility date happened 2 months ago. Technically, you have to get everything in within 45 days. Remember, we give you a month and 15 days to get them in. We do want to see these in by 10 days, but we understand that things can happen, but you should be doing applications within 10 days. For TABE scores, if you are wanting your TABE scores to interface, if you do a TABE score today and you do not have the application in, the TABE scores will not interface and you will have to manually put those TABE scores in. TABE scores come in every night and we're in the process of doing those jobs now, and so they will be kicking in pretty quickly. Your LWDB region is the region that you're in. Right now, I'm only in Southeast, so it's only allowing me to see Southeast. You should be able to see Southwest, Northern, wherever you're located in the state. And then your office location and your office location of responsibility is the job center that is near you. So make sure that you're looking at your job center and that you're only putting in the job center. Sorry. So I should be able only to see the job centers that I have in my Southwest or Southeast region and that have been given to permissions to me. I can see Juneau, Sitka, and Ketchikan. You guys should be able to see the ones in your area. And then my office location is the same. It's Juneau, Sitka, and Ketchikan. And so some of you might have different ones that you're seeing. If you're in Anchorage, you should be able to see Midtown, Muldoon, and then also out in the valley. So you're seeing all three of those. Click the one that's most appropriate to you. And then we have to, because we're partnered, we go with the Job Center for Title III, and then we go Title II, so our grant information. So click the grantee, and I'm gonna put this one in CERC, so Southeast Regional Resource Center, and then from there, the district. So your district for me, again, is CERC. You might have a different district. I don't think so. I think these ones match. The county, borough, or parish, remember that we're multiple different states across this learning platform, because so there is counties in there and parishes. I'm going to be in Juneau. There we go. And then your learning center is where the teacher actually is. It could be your tutor or where the learning is taking place. So for me, it's Juneau. And then I'm going to go to the bottom and I'm going to click next. We have found, and we are testing out this theory. So I'm going to go back really quick to that page because I just want to show you really quick. On that very first page, and I'm sorry if I make anybody dizzy when I go really fast to the bottom of the page. So today we were doing some testing and Donna and I came across somebody who was not able to be putting in attendance, and I have somebody testing out this theory. And the reason that we think is this section, when it come over from conversion, was not completely filled out. They had the region but then they did not have an office location. There wasn't a grantee attached to it. So we're having her go back and test and see, well, right now the system is down, but we're having her go back and test and see if she can go in and put in attendance, because I know some of you were having issues with some of your individuals putting in attendance, some not. And so once we get that straightened out, we'll let you know. But if you are having trouble with some of your people that came over from conversion, look at this section first. See if this is all mandatory information. See if this is filled out appropriately. If not, go in, fill it out, and then click the next button to save it. Most of this information is going to come over from the actual person's application. And if you were with us on Monday, you filled this out together. But please remember that a lot of this information came over from Alexis when we brought over that information. And so you're getting a lot of people's information already in. So they've got their profiles. That's why it's so important to search. So the next screen is there. You can see at the top, we have the introduction, and then we have the contact information. So we're on the contact information. And so let's look at their contacts. Um, when we look at their first and last name, we want to look at their actual first and last name that is their legal name. So if they're putting Bob and their first name is actually Robert, um, what are they going to, what is their unemployment records? What is their social security records? What are they going to test GED under? What is that name that is going to be matched up to it? So if it is actually Carolyn, we need to change it to Carolyn. If it is actually Robert versus Bob, then let's change it to Bob or Robert instead of Bob. So it is that actual number. For Social Security, you should be able to see the Social Security number, but you will not be able to edit it. Again, I'm in the testing environment and I can edit it here, but you will not be able to edit it. If you see that the number is different, please let Donna know, and Donna will get that sorted out and get it verified and edited. Remember that that's one of the points that we use to make sure our records are federally, make sure that our UI records and our adult ed records and our Title I records are all matching, and then we're getting credit for all the things that you guys are doing with students. And so we want to make sure that those are federally reported. So Social Security numbers are pretty important, and we want to make sure that we're getting the most accurate number. If your student doesn't have a Social Security number, we understand that, and there is that button at the beginning of their registration that says I don't have one or I don't want to supply one, and that's fine. It's going to give a made up number, and that's what it did here. This is a made up number, and then we move forward from there. It has a star under Social Security verified. That's because everybody else in the system has to verify that Social Security number. You do not have to verify it with documents. You just have to verify that you actually did see it and then move on from it. You don't have to put and upload documents to support that Social Security number. Residential address comes over from their profile. Just check, make sure that it is what they're telling you it is, and then move on from there, as well as the address on the date of the application. So this is their address. Yes, it is. You can edit it right here. If not, just move on to the next one, which is their mailing address. And if it is the same, you can click it. If it's not already filled in, if it is already filled in, you can move to the next section. The phone number also comes over from the registration. It's another number that's just verified. The only two boxes that you have to do right here is this primary phone type. You have to fill this out. It does not come over from their registration. You have to determine if it's a cell phone, a relative's phone, work, not identified home, or other. And then if they did not put um, voice TTY, and video phone, you would have to choose one of those. And then towards the bottom, it is their primary email address. So this is just, it's asking you to verify it. And from there, you can go down to the bottom and click next. After contacts, we go into demographic information. So you'll see once our contacts are complete, we get a green check mark next to it, and then it goes on to the demographic information. Again, most of the demographic information comes over from their application, and you're just verifying that information. The date of birth comes over, you're verifying it. Again, underneath it, it has that verification. You do not have to verify it with documentation like the other programs do. You can skip this section, even though it does have a star next to it. Other programs have to have documentation. Ours does not, as well as down here under citizenship, we do not have to verify that as well. The computer will automatically calculate the age of today's date and your eligibility date, how old they were. Remember, if they're 16 or 17-year-olds, you have to have other documentation. This section right here has to have, it cannot be, did not self-identify. You have to choose a race. Or sorry, you have to choose a gender, you have to choose a race, and you have to choose either yes or no for Hispanic / Latino heritage. This is federally mandated by the Department of Education. It goes on the NRS tables as male or female. If you choose not to, if they choose did not self-identify and you leave it as such, they will not be federally reported individuals. And as a matter of fact, you will have to go back later and fix that and choose later. So it's better to do it up front and make sure that those are choices that you make during that process. The Department of Education mandates that this question be answered even if you as a program personnel choose to answer that question with the question or the answer that you feel is the most accurate. So if the person is sitting in front of you and they are saying they do not self-identify with either or, and it is up to you to then make the choice of male or female. I am not advocating for this. I'm just simply saying the U.S. Department of Education states that we have to have one or the other. This is the same with whether they're Hispanic or Latino heritage, or whether they have a race of some kind in here. As a matter of fact, in the application on Monday, I chose I do not wish to answer, and you can see that these are all grayed out, and I cannot choose any of these. If you click on the I do not wish to answer, it will open it back up, and then you can choose 1, 2, or as many as you would like in order to answer those for this individual, or they can choose. Living in a rural area, I've given you guys this definition several times. It's kind of complicated. Basically, it's up to the individual or up to you whether you believe you're living in a rural area or not. If you want some more definition of living in a rural area, you can go to our policies and check out that definition a little bit more in depth. Speak a primary language other than English is not a required question. It comes over from their application. If you remember on Monday, I clicked American Sign Language. It does populate or auto-populate for us, as well as considered to have a disability. If you go back and check yes here, it does bring up the categories of disability, and then it is asking you what category this person believes that they are in or that they self-identify with. This one is a self-identify question, and they can choose not to identify here, whereas in the other ones they cannot. I apologize. I should have asked if we had any questions before we move from demographic to employment. Okay, moving on to employment. This one is really short. There's only 4-ish questions. So the first one is employment status. This again comes over from their profile. If you choose employed, there is no not in labor force. If you choose employed but receiving a termination letter, it's not there as well. But if you choose non-employed, that second question comes up, not in the labor force, yes or no. Farm worker status, if you choose any of these down here, there are additional questions that will pop up, as well as, I think adult, nope, it's just that one extra question. And then long-term unemployed is over the 27 or more consecutive weeks, and that's a yes or no. There might be more of those now than there were before. And then once that is complete, you can click next. Are there any questions before we move on from there? Okay. Oh, and it won't let you validate unless all of the right answers are, unless all the ones with stars are clicked in some way, shape, or form. Okay, on to education. This one does not come over from their profile. This one you have to fill out every single time. It doesn't matter what they put over there. On their side, you have to fill it out all over again. On our side, their highest school grade completed. That one's pretty simple. And was it completed in the US? Yes or no, or is it unknown? Did they receive a high school diploma or equivalency? Yes or no? Um, what is their highest education level? A lot of our English as a second language students will have higher than a bachelor's degree. We have beyond a bachelor's degree. We had master's degree added to the last one. I know that was something that was asked for, but according to the federal guidelines, it's beyond a bachelor's degree. If they haven't obtained any high school diploma or anything else, it's no educational level completed. If they did, then it'll ask where they obtained that degree, either in the United States or outside of the United States. And then their school status at the time of the application. Are they not attending school? Are they not attending school and they were a dropout? Are they in school currently? So just click that one and move on. You do not have to have a student ID. If your program wants to set up a student ID, so it would be easier to find your students, that is fine. We can do that. We need to make sure that we follow rules in order to set up a student ID so that Nome isn't starting like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Fairbanks isn't starting like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're all having the same numbers. So If you would like to do that, we can definitely work with you on setting up student IDs. And then, of course, the last three questions on the educational partner services is whether they're with a youth build. If you click yes, you have to have the grant number. There is not a youth build grant currently in Alaska. So if they were with youth build, if they're receiving youth build services, it would be interesting to know where from, and it would have to be outside of the United or outside of Alaska. Are they receiving Job Corps services? Yes or no? And then a vocational rehabilitation, yes or no? And these are backwards, and I apologize, that was not my doing. VRNE is a special vocational rehabilitation and employment service through the Veterans Association, so or Veterans Administration. So just to let you know that. Oh, any questions before we move on? I can always go back. Nope. Okay, on to public assistance. So public assistance, yes or no questions. Anything that is yes up here will automatically take off the low income down here, just like it did on Monday on the person's application. It does it on this side as well. Did they receive TANF, SSI, or supplemental security income, general assistance, SNAP, refugee assistance or refugee cash assistance, Social Security disability insurance, foster care, or youth currently receiving or is eligible to receive free or reduced lunch? Yes or no? I'm going to leave them all as no, and then click next. And then after public assistance, we have barriers. Again, these are all yes or no. English language learner, yes or no. Basic skills is automatically a yes. Anybody that qualifies for adult education is basic skills deficient. Either they are basic skills or low literacy. Are they dislocated worker, homeless, runaway, foster care? Ex-offender is did not disclose. That one is one that you can move to yes or no at any time. Currently incarcerated, that's where our DOC members need to put yes. Other institutional settings, if you're working with somebody who is in a halfway house, or community correction. Community correction is halfway house. Other institutional settings could be somebody who is, I know some of you guys are out there working with individuals who are in treatment centers, so that could be another institutional setting. Then we have displaced homemaker. Within 2 years of exhausting TANF, since I put no for TANF earlier, this is automatically a no. Single parent, and then cultural barriers again is a yes. We've talked about that one at length. Anybody who qualifies for adult ed qualifies for cultural barriers. Any questions? Okay, that is the end of our application process. And then it takes us here to the adult ed eligibility information. It says, yay, you did everything right. They're eligible for adult ed. I haven't seen it say yes yet or no yet. So there's that.
I have a question, Wendy.
Yes, Linda.
Okay, when you were just on the cultural barriers, and that's yes, are our students I just missed hearing what you said. They're automatically yes?
Yes, they are all automatically yes. And I had them put it as automatically yes. So everybody who qualifies for adult education qualifies for cultural barriers. And we've gone over this one a couple of times, and there's a really kind of a sticky wording in it when it comes to the definition. I'm trying to bring up the definition really quick, and I think it's like 8th grade level is the weird way of that it puts it in there. But, oh no, it's basic skills deficiency. There's something about on or at the 8th grade level and generally accepting standardized testing. So the basic skills is the one we've gone over several times. So Department of Education didn't have us, they've told us several times that these ones are automatically yes, the basic skills and the cultural barriers. The cultural barriers are defined as language and communication skills deficient, lack of understanding of career pathways, employment options, soft skills, discrimination due to customs or beliefs that do not fit into current norms, or the last one that is everybody or most people that are our people are age and time out of school or stigma associated with lack of diploma. So those are the big ones that that fit us is the language and communication skills deficient, and then the age and time out of school.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, definitely. Any questions other questions before I make this person eligible? Okay. So we've had a couple of questions about assigning a case manager, and you can assign it here. You can assign me, or you can assign a different case manager. And what are the benefits of assigning a case manager? For adult ed, you don't have to. For other programs, you have to assign a case manager. To assign a case manager, that person is going to be the primary person who's responsible for overseeing this case. And if there is any alerts for this person, it will go to that person. The big one I've just been told, which I just learned today, is that if this person has no attendance for 60 days and is getting close to closure, that person, whoever is the case manager, will get an alert that says this person has not had attendance for 60 days. I know there's questions on that one. None?
How close to 60 days does the alert come out? Is it like at 50 days you get this alert, or how
It's
much?
at 60, day 60. Remember, our cases don't close for 90, but this is at 60, alerting you that this person hasn't had a closure or hasn't had any attendance for 60 days.
Okay.
Any other alerts that we choose to put on this one, the one that's coming up is the 16 or 17-year-old one. The 16 or 17-year-old will be an alert, and I'm trying to work on that one on the back end to go directly to the program coordinator, no matter who is the case manager. So we'll see about that one, but they should get an alert that says you have a 16 or 17-year-old that needs to be addressed or okayed. So we'll see if that one gets put where it needs to be or if it goes through an alert system. But the biggest one I've been told is 60 days without attendance will go to the case manager. So it might be beneficial to have a case manager. You do not have to have one, but it might be beneficial. Okay, so I'm going to finish this one. I found this person eligible. I'm finishing their application. It gives me this pop-up that says you can return to the program tab or go straight to the participation. You have to create a participation right after you do the program. It is the very next step. It is easiest just to click on participation, but I'm going to take you to the program tab so I can show you how to get to the participation in case you click on the program tab, because that's where we're going to likely go. So again, we're back on that red programs tab, and here's our new program. So we've already created the application and now it's complete. I have a number. In case you ever need to get a hold of Donna or I that there's a problem, here's the number we need. It's this AED number. If I click the plus sign, I now have all the information I need, including participation. So I'm going to click here. And immediately after the application, I'm going to click Create Participation. Okay. I can see that I have an application date, an eligibility date, and now a participation date. The participation date, you guessed it, matches the application date and it matches the eligibility date. All three of those dates align completely. So it's the same date. Don't try to make them any different because the system will not allow you to do it anyways. So same date each time. Everything else came over. It's just giving you like a snapshot of their age, their highest grade, their school status. Go down to the bottom and click next. So the only thing you need is the date and it has to match. We're going to go super slow. This is our activity or enrollment section, our general information page. We only deal with this first general information tab, this service provider tab, and this closure tab. The rest of these tabs we don't deal with because this is part of WIOA Title I, WIOA Title III, and the other programs that are in here. If you go down to the bottom and hit next, it will automatically take you to the service provider tab. Once you click next there, it will skip all of this, take you to the closure tab, and then you click next and you're out of here. This one is fairly simple. From here, it's putting blue boxes around the things that you have to do. You have to start here and add a customer group. We are AE1, and I do believe in our system, it does not say adult basic education. It says Alaska adult education. We had that changed a long time ago. It put me in Southeast because I told it I was in Southeast. And then from there, I choose a job center, and I'm going to choose the job center that's closest to me, and that would be Juneau. And then you have to put an activity code. When you do that, the only one that will pop up is AE1. The AE1 is the service code or the activity code that is going to stay open for the life of your grant or for the life of your case. I'm sorry. You're not going to touch it. It's going to be the one that holds it open. And if you have attendance that goes in regularly, it will stay open and it will automatically close it after 90 days of no attendance. You don't have to do anything. But that AE1, don't try to close it. You do not need a projected begin date because you have an actual begin date. This projected end date has had a lot of questions. There is not a policy around projected end date. That's up to your program. Is it going to be the end of your semester? That's fine. Will it be the end of your program year? That's fine. Do you want to put it 6 months out? That's okay. Do you want to put it 8 months out depending on the TABE? That's fine. It really is a projected end date. It's not an actual end date. It is, what do you think that person, how long do you think that person is going to be in adult ed? What happens if we get to December 30th and we're past the projected end date? What do we do now? Remember, AE1 is there, and we've got attendance that is past 12:30. That projected end date is not going to close the case. That AE1 and your attendance is what closes the case. The projected end date is just on the background. The computer is looking for these projected end dates and saying, hey, should I be aware that this case could potentially close? That's what it's doing. We can change this as we get closer to 12:30. I can go back in and I can change this to 4:30, 2021. Just keep changing your projected end date. That's fine. It is not going to affect the closure of your case. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. Here's another one where you can assign the case to you, but you do not have to. Again, assigning the case to you will allow you to get alerts. And then click Next. This is the testing environment, and for the provider, it has testing providers. And what they put in there was the Alaska Education Initiative, which we know is wrong, Anchorage Correctional Center, and then they have University of Anchorage. But if you select provider, it's going to bring up all your grants because Donna has worked very hard to make sure that all of our providers or all of our grants are in there. So you're going to click on your grant, find your provider. Under that, you have one more that you have to click, and it's the service center. And it should be your address. Donna, double check with me that I'm wrong on that one. Or one says like 9-star and then one says Anchorage, correct?
I think you're right. That sounds right.
I think the first one says 9-star and the second one says Anchorage Adult Regional. I think that's how we set it up. You do not have to provide a location. You don't have to provide a contact. As a matter of fact, I don't know if there's any in there. An occupational code, leave these all blank and click Next. Now remember, it's going to skip those 4 tabs, take you to the closure information, and you do absolutely nothing on this page. Do not put a last activity date. Do not put a completion code. If you do that, it's going to close the case and you will not be able to put attendance. You won't put a test, nothing. You do not do anything except push finished. That's it. When you do that, you now have your application complete. My application is done. It doesn't have a closure date or an exit date because I'm not done with it yet. You can see that I now have a projected end date that I have out there. I have an application date and a participation date. And down here, I've completed my participation as of 8:30. And when I completed that, if you go here, it will automatically put your activity, your first AE1 activity. And that is your application, and your participation. Do we have any questions?
Hey, Wendy, this is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
So if you put the projected end date and it's that you have the 12/30, so come January 1st, do you have to change? So the student hasn't finished, would you have to change the projected end date, or do you go back in and have to do a new participation?
You do not have to do a new participation. It's wise to change the projected date, and let me show you how to do that. Down here in our activities, enrollments, and services, I can click on here and I can change that projected end date. Right in here, it's going to show me all that information that we just did. And remember, some of them are going to be blank because we didn't do anything to those ones. See, blank, blank, blank. Down here, I can edit it. And some of this information that we just put in, you will not be able to edit. For example, this information, you will not be able to modify. And I don't believe the projected begin date you will be able to modify. But you can change the projected end date and allow for more time. And you can say 01, 31, 20, 21. I'm going to now go that way because they're going to stick around with me a little bit longer. Next, at the end, it's going to jump it to the second one. You don't have to change anything there. Click next. You don't remember, do not put anything on that last page. Click finished. And now our end date is now 3/31.
So one more question to follow up with that then.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why we would want the end date to be anything shorter than the end of the fiscal year?
It can be. It can be the end of your semester if you have students that are only with you for a semester. If you only have students that are with you for an IET, then maybe they're only with you for an IET. What if
Okay.
you have students that are with you very, very short term? You might have students that are with you for the entire semester and then they're gone, or for the entire year. It just depends on your year.
But if they're with us for a shorter amount of time, but the projected end date is still a long ways out, it's no big deal, right?
Nope.
It doesn't change anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Because the two important dates that are, or the two important things that are super important in here when it comes to closure is this AE1, that it stays open, this green open, and that the attendance, there is no attendance for 90 days. If those two things happen, this case will soft exit and close on its own.
Thank you.
It's Victor, and then we'll have to create open up a new case for them?
When they come back after 90 days,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Yes, you do, Victor. So,
And that includes a new assessment as well?
no, it does not. Hang on, Heidi. Let me answer that one, and then I will. Which one is closed? I have one that's closed. Mike is closed. And I can show you what it has closed case. And you guys have seen closed cases, so you can see assist. So the new assessments only fall if they fall within that. If they're done within the fiscal year, you do not have to do a new one in the same fiscal year. Or if you do one after the 30 or after March 1st, and then they come in after that new fiscal year. Anything after March 1st is considered into the next fiscal year. And then it goes around into the same fiscal year. Does that make sense? It's in our policies, in our guidelines.
Yeah, I read it. I just couldn't remember if that was part of it or not.
Yeah, that is part of it. You do
okay.
not have to keep doing assessment. We don't want to over assessment our people, so we try to only do one per fiscal year. Unless it's a post test and you want to post test them and see where they're at. But pre-test, one pre-test per year, or after March 1st, it'll fall into the next fiscal year. And that's for the universities too. Program. So here's one that has a closed case. So, and he didn't exit, so I don't have an exit date on him. So he was one of mine that I closed. He came back in, he was closed out 6/31. New guy, a new case. Yes, I've got to create a whole new application on him because he's in a new POP. So he came in, we worked together. He's now a new participant, even though he's been with me before. He didn't have attendance for 90 days. His case closed out. It's a new POP, a new attendance, new application. So you got to go through that application process again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions? So one thing I do want to caution you, or one thing I do want to tell you is a lot of times Donna and I will ask you guys to go back into your application and fix something. We've asked you to fix gender, race, ethnicity. I know I've asked people to fix those. We've asked to fix some things that have come up. And the way to fix that if you go to this AED where it says case or closed case, the pencil is how do you fix it. So if you go to the pencil, it'll take you back into the wizard. And even if you've clicked save, got out and went, oh, you know what? In the employment section, I put that they were employed and I meant to put that they're not employed. You can go in and you can fix the information that you need to. Click next at the bottom and next will automatically save it and take you to the next one. And when you get to the next one, you can get out. That's how you get in and fix any information in their wizard, in their application. Even on a closed case. Any questions?
Hi, Wendy, this is Rose. I have a question. So you have a updated application you emailed out from the Word document, the printable copy. What would we use those ones for rather than using this one on the website?
So some programs want to have a physical copy and some are okay with sitting down one-on-one and doing it online. It just depends on the preference of the program. So if you are okay with doing it online, then you're more than welcome to sit down, ask the questions, click, 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 and go on and save it. That's fine. If you would like to do it with a printable one and have the person sign it, that's fine too. If you have the physical copy and you're completing those and signing them, they must be held securely somewhere in a locked cabinet. Remember that they have PII, and you must keep those on site. And but be consistent. So you're either doing physical copies or you're doing them online. Don't go back and forth. Because then if Donna and I come to do a monitoring and we're like, okay, where are your physical copies? And you give us 5 and you have 3,000 applications, we're going to wonder what's going on. So just be consistent. We're not requiring that they sign the application any longer because you're doing it with them in here. That's a department decision. And so we're no longer asking you to do that. But if your program requires it, and then that's fine. And I know that DOC is different and they have to do physical copies, so that's fine. That's why we have physical copies for you too. The physical copies, sorry, I have a puppy who's barking. The physical copies will align with the questions. So I've made it to where you will see the sections go through as they go through. So like the demographic information, you'll see it blocked off. Like there's a block on the application and it will only have this demographic information on that section. And then there'll be a new, there's like a blue line, and then it goes into employment and only has the questions related to employment, and then so on for education, public assistance barriers, and all that good stuff. So I've made it flow as much as I can, and if there's any errors, just let me know.
Okay, I don't know if anybody else was having trouble with the physical copies, but mine keeps erasing information every time I save it to my or save it at all and then pull it back up later. All the tight text would be there, but everything that all the yes or no choices would all be gone when I pulled it back up later. I don't know if that's just me or if other people are having that issue also.
Is anybody else having that issue, or is it I can take a look at it. I mean, I don't know if there's something else I'm doing wrong. I put it where I can save it and download it. So I'll take a look at it on my end. And if anybody else is having that same issue, please let me know. Any other questions? Okay, I appreciate you guys hanging with me on a Friday afternoon. Thank you very much for that. If there's any questions that you have after you get, you get back and look at this, for the 4th time through and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't even know that was there. Please let me know and or let Donna know and we'll try to get your answers or your questions answered. This will be on the website hopefully today or Monday. We'll get it up so that the recording will be there. And I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks, Wendy.
Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Oh, Hugh, it's twice a week, by the way. It's Monday and Friday.